Another winter evening draws in, Holmes. The fire crackles most agreeably, doesn't it? It seems only yesterday we were young men, facing down London's fog and villains. Yet here we are, well into this new century. 1913, is it already?
Time, like certain criminal elements, Watson, possesses an unnerving capacity for relentless progression. Though I confess, the warmth of this hearth is a comfort the chill of Dartmoor rarely afforded.
Indeed, it puts me in mind of another case recently committed to print, one that certainly tested your abilities, Holmes. I've titled it, The Case of the Automated Marauders. You recall the stir it caused.
Ah, the Marauders, a unique affair. Technology wielded with a baffling precision that initially presented certain novel challenges to deduction. The sheer asterisk impossibility of the early reports was quite stimulating.
Precisely. And it's concerning that very case that we are so fortunate to have a guest with us this evening. Professor Flemming, welcome again to Baker Street. Listeners, the professor's pioneering work, quite unintentionally, found itself at the very heart of that perplexing matter. His insights from the time will prove invaluable as we revisit those events. It truly was a baffling affair, Holmes, wasn't it? Those early days of the Automated Marauders case. I recall describing in my chronicle how London's most secure institutions seemed utterly porous, yet without a single mark of violence upon lock or bar.
Porous, Watson, yet not in the conventional sense. The challenge lay precisely in the asterisk absence of the expected. No Jimmy marks, no explosives, no sign of human passage through supposedly impassable barriers.
Precisely. The consternation was palpable. All the police had were whispers, weren't they? Faint, intermittent whirring sounds reported by night watchmen, dismissed initially as rats or faulty plumbing.
And the more tangible, though scarcely less perplexing, evidence. Those peculiar, almost iridescent oil stains found upon the vault floors, quite unlike any common lubricant, and under the lens, the truly revealing detail. Microscopic brass shavings.
Scotland Yard was at its wit's end. I remember Inspector Hardcastle pacing his office, utterly flummoxed. "It's as if ghosts are at work, Mr. Holmes," he declared more than once. The whole force seemed to be chasing phantoms.
Phantoms, perhaps, but phantoms that left a residue of oil and brass. It presented a fascinating problem. One had to eliminate the impossible, certainly, but first, one had to rigorously define what asterisk constituted the impossible in this new age. We were not dealing with a common burglar, Watson, but with something or someone operating beyond the understood limits of physical intrusion. An incorporeal thief, as it were, demanding entirely new methods of detection.
A thief who left no trace of entry, only the faintest hum and the residue of unseen, intricate mechanisms. It was a chilling thought, suggesting an ingenuity as remarkable as it was terrifying. Indeed, Holmes, those peculiar oil stains, the microscopic brass shavings we found at those early scenes, they didn't speak of common housebreakers, did they? They hinted at something else entirely. Very quickly, the investigation seemed to point away from simple brute force and towards the world of workshops, of industry, perhaps even laboratories.
Precisely, Watson. The entire affair was saturated with the spirit of the age. The late Victorian era was gripped by a fascination with the mechanical, a fervent belief in progress through engineering. Yet beneath the surface excitement, one could detect a current of profound unease. Automation was lauded in the journals, but it also stoked anxieties about the changing nature of work, of society itself.
Mr. Holmes puts his finger directly upon it. The 1890s, looking back now, it seems almost a different world. There was such extraordinary optimism, a conviction that invention held the key to a brighter future. Progress felt not merely possible, but inevitable. We truly believed we were forging a new epoch. And the evidence was all around us, wasn't it? Consider the power looms, already transforming the textile industries beyond recognition. Early calculating machines, crude by today's standards, were beginning to appear in city offices, altering long-established clerical practices. And the public discourse, there was endless speculation about thinking machines, automata capable of complex tasks. Much of it fanciful, of course, but it captured the imagination.
And your own research into automation, Professor. What were the driving principles behind your work in those early days?
My focus, Dr. Watson, was primarily on precision and miniaturization. I hoped to develop mechanisms capable of performing delicate operations, tasks perhaps too intricate or repetitive for human hands. The aim was augmentation, to create tools that could extend our own capabilities, particularly in scientific or manufacturing contexts. Assistance, not usurpation, was the guiding principle. Yet, even amidst that great wave of invention, there were troubling undercurrents. We saw skilled craftsmen, men who had dedicated their lives to mastering a trade, finding their livelihoods threatened by tireless machinery. There was a human cost to progress, a displacement felt keenly by many. Perhaps, in our collective enthusiasm for the new, we didn't always pause to fully consider those ethical dimensions, those consequences rippling outwards.
An oversight upon which others, less scrupulous, are always quick to capitalize. The innovator dreams of progress, the criminal sees only opportunity.
You know, Watson, hearing you speak of that era, when I was a young man, sketching designs in my notebooks, I dreamt of machines that would liberate mankind from drudgery, automata to perform the tedious, the dangerous, freeing human minds for higher pursuits. A rather naive vision, I suppose, compared to the eventual reality.
A noble dream, Professor, one shared by many visionaries of the age.
Noble, perhaps, but the path from theoretical possibility to practical application is fraught with unforeseen turns. To see one's intellectual children, born of such hopeful labor, twisted to serve nefarious ends, it evokes a feeling I struggle to articulate. Not merely dismay, but a profound regret. A sense of responsibility, however indirect. There are moments, fleeting ones I confess with shame, where one marvels at the sheer asterisk ingenuity of the application, the cleverness. But that flicker is instantly extinguished by the horror of its purpose. It is a heavy burden to bear.
Indeed, Professor, it is the perpetual race, is it not? The innovator strives to build, to improve, to push the boundaries of the possible. Yet trailing close behind, sometimes even anticipating, is the criminal mind, seeking always to exploit, to subvert, to turn progress towards destruction or illicit gain. Every new lock invites a new lockpick. Every advance in communication creates new avenues for deception. Society scarcely adapts to one marvel before its shadow side emerges.
It was precisely that complexity, Professor Flemming, that I found so challenging to convey in my published account. Your position, the unwitting catalyst, the genius whose work was so cleverly perverted, it defies simple description. To capture the nuance of your contribution without casting blame where none was due, yet acknowledging the source of the mechanism, it was a delicate balancing act.
And yet, Watson, as you eventually grasped in your narrative, the technology itself, however ingenious or novel, remains secondary. The most intricate clockwork, the most advanced automaton, is merely a tool. The true puzzle, the essential element for deduction, lies always in the asterisk mind that conceived its misuse. Understand the motive, the ambition, the specific human intellect driving the machine, and the path to the solution becomes clear, regardless of the mechanical complexities employed. The how is intriguing, but the why and who remain paramount. When faced with vaults untouched by Jimmy or Drill Watson, the conventional avenues of investigation are closed. One must pivot. The utter absence of the gross forces the eye, the mind, towards the infinitesimal. The very nature of the problem dictated the method.
I remember it vividly, Holmes. Our sitting room, for a time, ceased to be a place of comfort and became instead a veritable laboratory. You were utterly absorbed, a familiar sight yet always compelling, surrounded by your microscope, racks of test tubes, and the steady blue flame of the Bunsen burner. The air grew thick with concentration, punctuated only by the clink of glass or the occasional whiff of reagents.
Necessity, my dear fellow. The challenge lay not merely in finding asterisk a asterisk clue, but in discerning the asterisk significant asterisk clue amongst the mundane dust and detritus inevitable in any environment. Those microscopic brass shavings, the peculiar greasy residue, these were the only whispers left by our phantom intruders. They demanded scrutiny at the highest magnification.
You spent hours, Holmes, hunched over your lenses under the gaslight, meticulously comparing samples gathered from the various crime scenes. It was clear you were searching for some unique identifier, a common thread invisible to the naked eye.
Precisely. When dealing with mechanisms potentially born of advanced engineering, as the circumstances suggested, one must assume a corresponding precision in their constituent parts. Therefore, any minute variation, any unique characteristic in the materials employed, a specific, perhaps unusual alloy of brass, or let us say, a lubricant possessing distinct chemical properties, becomes magnified tenfold in its importance.
So the chemical analysis of that strange oil became paramount.
It was a critical line of inquiry, comparing the residues, seeking consistencies, isolating anomalies. It is often the case, Watson, particularly when confronted by the products of miniaturized ingenuity, that the grandest lock requires the smallest, most specific key. The unique fingerprint, if you will, not necessarily of a man, but perhaps of a machine, or more accurately, the unique process that created it.
Looking back, Professor, the entire affair of the Automated Marauders stands as such a stark illustration, does it not? The very ingenuity meant to advance society turned so readily to nefarious ends. It was a delicate balance. I tried to convey in my published account the marvel and the menace, side by side.
Indeed, Dr. Watson, a balance I fear I myself did not fully appreciate in those earlier days. It serves as a potent reminder, even now, of the profound ethical responsibility we bear. An inventor, a scientist, even when one merely publishes theoretical work, there is a duty of care, a consideration for how knowledge might be twisted by less scrupulous minds. A heavy burden looking back.
And one that shall only grow heavier, I suspect. The criminal element is endlessly adaptive, Professor. It mirrors legitimate progress, twisting innovation to its own purpose. We saw it then with miniaturized mechanics. One can only speculate what challenges the burgeoning fields of electricity, wireless communication, or even heavier-than-air flight might present to law enforcement in this new century. The contest between ingenuity for good and ill is perpetual.
A sobering thought, Holmes, but a pertinent one. Professor Flemming, thank you most sincerely for joining us by the fire this evening and sharing your unique and, well, deeply considered reflections on the matter. It has illuminated the chronicle immensely. Perhaps next time, Holmes, we might revisit that peculiar business down in Sussex, the one involving the lion's mane.